Hello, welcome to another episode of Top Space Program. So, I'll start with an apology. Apology of my horrible English. English is not my first language, so you'll just have to excuse me when I make a mistake or when I'm lost for words. Today's episode I'm going to cover a bit about the mods that I have installed and we're gonna talk a little about the science. You can review, this is the Kerbal Space Center and you can review science in the research and development module. This is the tech tree. As you can see, I have already researched the second level of the tech tree and one part of the third level. I originally intended to show you the research as a part of this video, but when I recorded the video, the audio came out all wrong, and I didn't want to upload a video where you could hardly hear me. So the tech tree is here, and here is the science archives, basically all the reports and observations and all the science done during the missions. The last video which covered year's second flight, I had only researched the basic rocketry, which gave me the mystery goo containment units, a lot of fuel tanks, decouplers, and a new solid rocket booster. Before I'm going to start building a new version, the top 3 rocket, I'm going to talk a little about the second level of research done here. So, survivability, the art and science of landing and walking away from it. Basically, it gives you a lot of new parachutes, which are radially mounted, not on the top of the craft as the previous ones, but radially, yes. Liquid fuel engines, and as a part of the interstellar tech tree, it's one of the mods that I'm using. It also gives me life support containers, food, water, oxygen, and general life support. It is a part of the TAC life support mod, which adds a lot of realism to the game by making essentially the Kerbals die when they run out of life support. Before, you could send a Kerbal out to space and basically the Kerbal could be there indefinitely. Now the command pod only contains 1 unit of life support, which is good for 24 hours. One Earth day. because as you might know, Kerbal days are 6 hours long here in Kerbin. So the second part that I researched was stability. The bigger the crafts go, the bigger the mass, and the harder it is for the stability controls in the command pod to control the craft, and therefore these winglets should come really useful in creating better stability and flying exactly where I want to fly. And the radial decoupler, man, I cannot tell you how useful this is. During the liftoff stage, you might want to use the solid rocket boosters, but the peculiarity with the solid rocket booster is that you can turn it off. Once you start it, it burns until the fuel ends, and basically all the rest of the time you would be hauling empty, useless mass along with you. So you can use the radial decoupler to decouple the solid rocket booster and have lighter craft that goes on. And general rocketry, which adds, as the description says, more engines, more fuel, and more ambitious ideas. Solid rocket booster, a Sepatron, and 3 liquid fuel engines. This is a fuel engine from the base game, and these two are modded, a part of the KW rocketry pack, and most likely would be using them as well. And the final part is science tech. As the description says, we're going to ask all the big questions of the universe eventually. For now, we're starting with these. This is used for kethane detection. Currently, I'm not sure if the Interstellar pack really supports kethane on all of the bodies that fly around in space, but we'll probably use this later in the game. But more importantly, it has battery banks, and these could be used to have more electric charge available in the craft, because the command pod only has 50 units of electric charge and it runs out pretty fast, and the only way to increase it is to burn your liquid fuel engine, but you might not always want to do that. And it adds, why I really did the research for Science Tech is because it adds Science Junior, which is a new way of doing science, so that every mission we can be more effective and do more science. And this is the COMS TTS Mark 1, a new antenna with 50 million miles of coverage. So I can basically send my information back to the Kerbal Space Center. I added another mod called Remote Tech, which basically means that I have to have a direct line of sight to the Kerbal Space Center at all times for the antennas to work. So this is about it. See you next time.